Welcome back to another Diablo 2 video. I think for this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to front load the video with a little bit of progress, then in the middle I'll just sort of chat with you guys for a bit while there's some just gameplay going on, and then towards the end of the video I'll have some more progress as well. That way I think it will be a better mix of gameplay and actual progress updates. Now as far as that progress goes, don't expect anything massive from me. I'm going at a slow pace. Even though I know how to get through the first 3 acts, I'm still sort of taking things slow, so I didn't get an awful lot done in the sessions that you're going to see here right in a second. So starting us off, I looked for the Tree of Innophus and I managed to find it. I got the scroll from the tree, opened the town portal, headed back to Akara and got the translation. Next up, I headed back to the stone circle. I actually had to pause and go back to my previous video to find where it was. I was looking all over for it and couldn't find it. So I went back to my previous video, looked where it was on the map and just went back to it that way. Had to clear out all the mobs that were there. There was quite a lot of them and I managed to get some loot. Nothing fancy I don't think. But I got them cleared out and then I started pressing the stones in the order that was described. Except I didn't press them in the order that was described because I completely didn't understand how it was oriented in the image. So I ended up pressing them wrong at first, but then I got it right afterwards. That of course opened up the portal to Tristram. So I went into Tristram, slew a bunch of enemies and managed to free Deckard Cain, who, as you probably know, can identify your items for free, something that I almost never take advantage of in my D2R playthrough. I keep forgetting that he can identify my items, so I'm constantly just using the scrolls. I suspect the same thing will probably happen here. While I was in town and at Akara, I decided to look at what scepter she had. I picked up a small scepter upgrade, and then it was off to find the tower where you can fight the countess. Now I don't know a lot about Diablo 2 yet, but I do know that the countess drops runes, I think every time you kill her. Now I seem to remember finding her hard on my summon necromancer, so I was a bit apprehensive going in, especially as I'm in melee range and not able to just run and hide in the back while my minions do everything. But I was looking forward to seeing what she would drop for me. So I managed to locate the tower, and after going through all of the 4 floors to the final 5th floor, I managed to find the countess. And then I was able to fight her. It wasn't as challenging a fight as I expected it to be. I am obviously on the normal mode, so it's not like it's supposed to be particularly hard, but given that I struggled on my first attempt with the summon necromancer a little bit and had to use a few potions, I thought that it was going to be a little bit harder than it was. Got a couple of runes and some loot, and got out of there. So the next thing that I actually did, and this was off camera completely, I decided to actually explore out the earlier areas, map out the sides of the map, just because it was kind of annoying me that half of it wasn't mapped out. On my summon necromancer I already mapped out all the areas that I'd done, so on this character I wanted to do the same thing. I don't know if I'll do it for literally every area in the game, but I want to at least do it for the areas that are fairly easy to map out, like these starter areas. I'm not going to do it for dungeons necessarily, because those can be absolute mazes. I'll do it for some of them, but probably not all of them. So I finished mapping out those areas. I also found the Black Marsh waypoint, and at some point after one of my level ups I went through all of the different abilities and I saw the ability Zeal. Now one thing I do know about Diablo 2 is that people talk about Zealot Paladins, so I'm guessing Zeal is a crucial ability that lots of people use. Again, I need to reinforce the fact that I'm not completely blind going into this. I do have some information and I am actively watching Diablo 2 content, watching people's playthroughs and stuff. But what I'm trying to do with that is I'm trying to limit myself to watching stuff that I've already done on my necromancer and in future that I've already done on this character. Or stuff that's just too indecipherable to me at this new stage for me to pick up a ton of information from it. So someone might be farming some endgame boss or whatever. I don't know who the boss is, why they're farming them, what they're doing, whatever. That sort of thing I'll watch, but what I don't want to watch is spoilers for the later quests or anything. I don't want to follow any build guides. But of course in that process, because I'm not rigorously vetting it just to make sure I get no spoilers whatsoever, I am learning bits and pieces here and there. So I know there is a type of paladin called a zealot, so I know Zeal is probably good. And reading about the different abilities, it sounds pretty interesting to me. The ability to attack multiple enemies with melee at once sounds pretty useful, so I decided to put a point into it. Now I'm going to be honest, my first impressions with Zeal were not very good. It was costing me 2 mana every time I attacked, and so my mana was going down pretty quickly. And at the same time it didn't seem like I was doing that much damage to the enemies, over what I was doing with just my regular attack or with sacrifice. But you know, I'm a patient guy. I assume it maybe gets better at later levels, but for now, my next level I just put a point in Holy Fire, because that was doing a lot of damage for me and wasn't eating up my mana, so it seemed like a fairly safe bet. So after exploring a bit, I decided to go back and fight the Countess again. So why am I doing this? Well, I just wanted to get like a little tiny sliver of a taste of grinding in this game. I wasn't going to go back and fight her like multiple times or whatever, although I might do that in future, or I might even do that later in this video, we'll see. But I just wanted to go back and fight her again and see what I got. So I went back, fought her again, got a couple more runes, and I realised something exciting, which is that I have the runes needed to make the only rune word that I actually know at this point, which is the rune word stealth. I actually have that on my necromancer character. I don't know if it's any good for necromancers. I'm trying not to spoil myself with regards to like what items are good for what character, same as with the builds. But I will look up like how to make particular rune words and, you know, what runes can make what things. Because as much as I like to figure things out on my own, I don't think I want to figure out all the different rune words. I think that would just take an enormous amount of time. And I think it's the sort of thing that back in the day, you would have like known someone that knew how to make them, or you would have looked it up. So at some point on my necromancer, I had looked up like what can I make with the runes that I had, and I found out that with a Tal rune and an Eth rune, you can make stealth by putting it in a piece of armor. So I did that on my summon necromancer, and I'm not entirely sure if it was like the right fit, because some of the stats on it seemed like they weren't really things that I absolutely needed. Like one of them was, for example, faster cast rate, and I don't think I really need faster cast rate on a summon necromancer when I'm just like relying on my minions all the time. But I'm wondering now if this would possibly be good on my Paladin. And the reason that I'm wondering that is it has a regenerate mana thing on it, and regenerating mana would be useful for me for my Zeal ability, the one that I was finding a problem because I was losing so much mana. So I think I am going to make myself the stealth rune word. Now the question remains though, whether to make it now or whether to make it a little bit later, because from what I understand, when you make a rune word and you put it on something, you still keep the original item stats. So if I put stealth on something right now, it's just going to be like a really low level piece of armor. If I wait like a little bit later, it will be a bit better. I don't think I want to wait like forever for it, because I may as well just get it, and you know, I can always get those runes again and make another one later, I believe. But I think maybe I want to wait till like Act 2 or something, you know, just get a little bit better armor than I have right now. But so that's something I can keep in mind for an armor upgrade soon. Right, so after recording that segment, I went and did a little bit of grinding. I decided I had an idea. Since I wasn't sure whether I wanted to make that stealth rune word now or wait until, you know, a little bit later, like Act 2 or Act 3 or something, I figured, why not just farm the Countess again until I get those runes again, so that I have a couple of lots, so that way I can make a stealth now and still have enough to make a stealth later without having to farm the runes again. And I figured that they must be pretty easy to farm, because I got a Tal and an Eth in 2 runs on this character, and I got them both in the very first run that I did on my summon necromancer, so it seems like they're fairly common runes. And I'll show you how I got on with that. So in the meantime, we're going to have some footage from those runs going on screen right now. But I just wanted to chat about my like first impressions of Diablo 2. So honestly, I'm having a blast with it. Like I said, I love old school RuneScape, and I love similar grindy games to that. I like grinding for loot drops, where you get something and it feels like, you know, gambling almost. You go and you get the loot drop, and then all of a sudden you get this super rare item that you've been grinding for days, or a super rare item that you didn't even know existed, and I just love that. I like being able to switch my brain off and do a repetitive activity in a game just for long periods of time to get some sort of reward over time. And I like if there's both consistent rewards, as in, you know, you keep making money or getting decent stuff, but I like that there's also some sort of rare rewards that you get really, really excited for if they appear. And I think Diablo 2 was sort of the originator of this idea, or well, technically Diablo 1, but I think Diablo 2 sort of refined it and made it better from what I'm aware of, like, because I've watched some videos about Diablo 1 and it seems like it was a lot more primitive. And like there was a lot less stuff to grind for and a lot less places to grind, because you just had this sort of one linear set of places that you go. But yeah, I am enjoying that already. I had a lot of fun just now doing those Countess runs. I didn't do a ton of them. I will show you in a moment on screen what I actually got from those runs, but I was having fun just doing this repetitive activity over and over again, and that was something that I was looking forward to in this game, that there are things that you can grind and just repetitively do. Because, you know, sometimes when you're playing a game you want to think a lot, you want to have your brain really engaged, but other times you just want to sort of turn your brain off and just have a good time, and I like games that offer me that opportunity. And so far it seems like Diablo is offering me both of those sides, because as I'm not relying on build guides, I'm having to spend some time thinking about how I'm going to build my character. Now I do have the infinite respecs and I am going to make use of those, so it's not like the end of the world. I can try things out, and if I don't like them I can, you know, take the points back and put them in something else. But it's like some theory crafting. It's interesting and I'm enjoying that. And then on the other side of the things, I have the grinding, where I can switch my brain off, just relax for a bit, do the same thing, put on some music and have a good time. And I'm looking forward to how that progresses over the course of the game. Another thing that is a good first impression for me is the story. So, like I said, I've got up to Act 3 on my Summon Necromancer in D2R, but I haven't played any more of that since I started this character. I don't know if I'm going to be like playing that on the side, or if I'm just going to like get a bit further with this character first. But for the moment I haven't been playing it, so I haven't got past Act 3. But the story so far, like up to Act 3, I was enjoying it quite a bit. I think ARPGs get a bad rap for like not having great stories compared to other RPGs, and I understand why that is. Like, I love CRPGs, and you get like branching dialogue, you get non-linear quest design, you get choices that you can make that impact the game world, and there's lots of fun things like that that make it a really cool storytelling experience in a CRPG. ARPGs tend to have more linear stories where you're sort of following through the story that the author of the game chose. And the focus is a lot more on the action. After all, it is an action RPG. That's what the A in the name stands for. But I feel like Diablo's story is actually really good. I am enjoying it. I am feeling like immersed in the world. I am looking forward to the things that I'm doing next. And I'm not skipping through any of the dialogue. I like reading the dialogue, and I like listening to the voice actors as well. They've got some really good voice actors in this game. Another good first impression is the music and sound design. The sound design is great. It's like lots of dopamine and a really awesome background soundtrack going on while you're playing. I haven't actually put on any music while playing this game yet, which, you know, with this sort of grindy game is something that I would usually do. I've just been enjoying the in-game music. And the graphics, D2R has amazing graphics. I honestly think it's the best looking ARPG that I've seen, even like better than like the Path of Exile games and stuff. But I have to say, for its time, Diablo 2 is a pretty good looking game. I know some of you are like cringing and going, what the hell are you talking about? How is this a good looking game? But I think these sort of 2.5D isometric graphics are way better to look at these days than the early 3D games. Like when 3D came out, it became like a fad and all games started adopting it. But it was quite a while before 3D games started looking good. Go back now and look at some of the earliest 3D games and tell me those don't look absolutely awful. Whereas Diablo 2, it still looks charming because it's good art. It's not very high resolution art, but it's good art for the low resolution that it was at. And so I still think it looks pretty good today, you know, for its age. It doesn't like hold up to, you know, Cyberpunk or The Witcher 3 or whatever, but it looks charming and I like that. So I think even the old game has some nice graphics to it. Anyway, with that out of the way, let me show you what I got from those countess runs. So I finally got the extra Talon Eth rune that I wanted, and this is the set of runes that I ended up with after those runs. So it took me a few runs, not a ton, but it took me a few runs to get them. And then I decided to go to Chelsea to pick up a base for my stealth runeword. First attempt, there was nothing in the shop that had 2 sockets. Second attempt, I found something and it had enhanced defense, so it seemed like an okay base for, you know, the fact that I'm getting this in Act 1. I made the stealth runeword, but unfortunately I need to be level 17 for it, so I have 3 more levels to go at this point. Now I think making my first runeword is a good milestone to end the episode on, but there is one thing that I forgot to mention earlier in this recording, so I'm going to mention it now, which is that I put another point into Zeal while I was doing the runs, and level 2 of Zeal seems a lot better because I can now hit 3 targets with it, and it's the same mana cost, so I'm getting more out of my money. Or well, more out of my mana. And I was using it on the runs and I didn't find that I needed to turn it off, so it was working pretty well. So I can see why people like the skill Zeal. And I think it's only going to get better when I actually can use that runeword and have some better mana regeneration. So yeah, that's where I'm going to end this episode today. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you want to watch more of this, then subscribe. And I will catch you soon. Take care.